Alright, sorry, I'm hand holding, so there might be a little bumpy. But we are on the road, headed out of town for a road trip, which we haven't done in a long time. And so I thought it would be good to do arting on the go from the road. But it's getting late, and so the sun is going down, and I thought, so tomorrow I will be doing an arting on the go session from the road. And no, I will not be driving.
You will be safe. I will be driving.
And I'll just be navigating. Well, I don't know how much navigating I'll be getting done, but I'll be navigating the art page. So anyways, that's what's coming up. All right, so I've got a different mount for the car so that I'm used to. So this is a new mount. It's called the Hercules. It's super solo suction cup, heavy duty super solo suction cup mount. And I'll list it down below, but we'll see. This is the first. I'm gonna just give it a try this trip. So of course it's the next morning, and I'm getting set up in the vehicle to be able to art on the go. And I thought, oh, I'll just share this with you because that's a lot about what you do when you art on the go. You just have to be prepared for different things. Now, not everyone's gonna art on the go and film it, so but I figured for those of you that do that kind of thing, that maybe you'll want that information. So here is the mount itself. It's got lots of different little finaglies things to it. You know, that's a technical term. But this is what it looks like. But I'll list it below, a link to it. But it is like a super suction mount, so, and so far, so good. All right, well this is pretty good pointing out that I am going to be arting in my lab, and two things. My project that I have planned to do for today was a small project. Well, it's in a bag in the back of the car. So poor planning on my part, because I forgot to bring it up to the front. Thought I had actually put it in my art bag, which is right here, down in between my legs. So I happened to find this magazine as we were leaving the hotel this morning, and thought, oh, this will be interesting reading, and it's an interesting size. So it is, if you can, I can't get it all in the viewfinder, but it's an interesting size, and you know how I like to work in thin paper. So I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to just start working on getting some of these pages glued together and see what ends up becoming of this. So it's very similar to the size of Big Bertha. Big Bertha was a bigger magazine, but same type of thing, working in a magazine. So that's what I'm going to start with today, is just getting some of these pages glued together while we travel along. So I do have my regular kit, so I have my paddle brush that seems to work nicely for on the go, and I have refilled my small gel medium jar. Hopefully it's not too full for being in the car. I do have some space on the sides of to be able to like lay things down. So I'm going to start off with just getting some pages glued together and see where that takes me. And because I'm in the vehicle, I'm going to do this in smaller sections than what I would do in the studio. In the honest with you, I just slap it down on the whole page, but also I have to take into consideration how much drying time I'm gonna have here. And this might be extra fun because there'll be more wrinkles than normal. What I had originally planned for working in is my itty bitty journal from Ricky Tikki Tavi. It's a wonderful size for just little bouts of being able to be creative. Now, something that I did, my husband pointed out to me as I was prepping for this, was that when we got started this morning, the terrain that we were going to be driving on was going to be really like switchbacks. And I might not want to art on the go through the switchbacks. So we actually held off because that probably would have made me car sick. Looking down at what I was working on as opposed to out the front window. It generally does that to me. I have a hard time reading in the car too. So that's a good thickness. Now, I'm going to have lots of wrinkles in this one because it is, I didn't use a credit card or to smooth out all the wrinkles, but that's part of the fun of working in these magazine type art journals, repurposed magazines, if you will. So that's a lot of fun. One thing that you need to think about when you're arting, anytime you're arting on the go, whether it's in a vehicle or anywhere, is to think about drying time, because it can be an issue unless you have access to a heat tool. So really, this is all sandwiched in between. It doesn't really require it to be sitting out where it's exposed to the air. But if that's something that you can rig for yourself when you're traveling, then of course you can apply more water, etc. So usually my next thing that I would do with something like this, if I'm working in a magazine like this, is to apply some gesso to the background. And if you have a really thin gesso, that might not work well for you in this situation. But I'm game. I'm gonna go for it. Mine is not real thin. I do have it in a squirt bottle. Not a spray bottle, but a squirt bottle, a squeeze bottle, I guess I should say. So I'm going to give it a try because I do have the ability to let it dry. And stuff's drying pretty quickly here, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. So let's put that medium. And I do have a towel at the ready, so I have my gesso and just like a squeeze bottle like this. So I'm just putting I have a little pocket here, and I'm just putting my bag in. I'm just going to work with a smaller amount, see how it goes, how it's drying. So really, when you're traveling and you have lots of wet stuff, you definitely want to have things put into place to handle that. So whether it's a towel, a wet wipe, a plastic bag to put your bottles in, that kind of thing is something that needs to be thought out in advance. So now I'm going to set this aside to dry before I move on with this, because it definitely needs to dry some. So I'm going to do that, and then I am going to get out the towel and the spray bottle, and I'm going to take care of this brush. So this is generally, I either get a wet wipe, or I do this. I kind of spray my brush down with some water, and then I just wrap it up in a towel. And then when I get to a location where I can wash it out properly, then I'll do that. And then put it back into the zip bag. Oh, is there a bird on the road? I'm like, okay. So when you're arting in the vehicle and you have a driver, the poor driver is going to be really bored unless you're not videotaping and you can talk to him and have the radio on. But these are not things that I can do when I'm doing it because I'm filming. See, this has been the challenge, is the whole thing has just been the filming, not the actual doing. So, you know, things to think about when you are traveling and arting in a vehicle is not only your supplies and what you're working on, but, you know, your terrain, what kind of, ooh, there's a thrift store. You're like, was that I'm supposed to stop? We don't have time to stop? Okay, never mind. So, but not only do you have to think of that kind of stuff, you also, you know, if you're videotaping, you can have the radio on, and, you know, there's limited talking or whatever. But if that's not happening, then all that stuff can still happen. And, you know, it's a great way to while away the hours when you're on a road trip, and which is always kind of nice. It kind of makes it go a little bit faster, at least for the passenger. So those are my thoughts on that, you know. And that's kind of, this whole vlog has been little nuances of trying to figure out how to overcome, you know, all the videotaping challenges, you know. So, but, you know, it's as you go, learn as you go, add all those new elements into it. So yeah, it's fun. I like being able to travel and still do my art daily. I can't say I've always been 100% successful at doing that, but it's something that I strive for. Whether or not I'm taking a mini sketchbook in my purse and I'm just, you know, jotting notes or ideas or mark making, that could have been something I could have chosen to do today, even though I had what I had originally planned to work on wasn't available because of my poor planning. But I could have pulled out my mini sketchbook out of my purse and just, you know, done some playing with some mark making. That's also another alternative option. So, you know, just food for thought, and have a really wonderful partner who is willing to give you trial runs, that might be a go as well. Like a little through town kind of drive just to see how it's going to work out for you. It can't hurt. So anyways, I hope that you will accept the challenge of trying to art in the car. And if you do, please share that with me, or if you have any experiences that you want to share, please comment below.